Hello, as promised, here's a quick video. So we're going to talk about two things in this video. The first is how to create a viewport, which then translate to a specific sheet layer. As a reminder, sheet layers are different than design layers. Sheet layers act like a sheet of paper, whereas a design layer is essentially something like what you see here, which is somewhere where we can do multiple different things and draft in multiple different ways. Now, I'm using one of my own light plots here, just for ease of my use, but this works with every Vectorworks file you've ever worked on, or will ever work on. So, to create a viewport, the easiest way that I do, and there are other ways to do this as well, is I'll take just a shape. I'm going to use the rectangle tool here, and I'm going to draw a rectangle around what I want to be in the viewport. I'm going to click to finalize that. You're going to see it selected. It has to be selected for us to do the next step in this process, which is where we go to View, and then we're going to scroll down a little beyond halfway, and we're going to click Create Viewport. I'll click on that now. And it's going to say the selected object may be used as the viewport's crop. Do you want to use this object as the crop? Our answer is yes. Now, we want to deselect viewport the same as drawing in sheet number. And I'm going to make the viewport name Lightpot Viewport Test. And I want to create on new. So right here you'll see create on layer. I'm going to create a new sheet layer. And it's going to ask me what sheet number. The sheet number is the same as the number on the plate that you're copying from. So for instance, if you're doing the ground plan, that would be sheet layer G. Sheet G. Sheet title would be ground plan. In this case, I'm just going to stick with sheet 1, which is fine. And then I'm going to make the sheet layer, or the sheet title rather, test of sheet layer. Then I'm going to say OK. And one of the biggest things that we need to do is make sure that the scale of what your drafting is, the original that you've copied, is the same as the scale that you're creating the viewport in. Notice here it says scale is 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. Well, that's all right, but some of the things in this project are 1 inch equals 1 foot. Some are 1/2 inch, and there are a few things that are 3 inches equals 1 foot. So please be very careful when you're creating your viewports to know exactly what the scale is that you're creating them in. I'm going to stick in 1/4 inch because that's what I need for this. Now, the other thing to know is you can create multiple viewports on one actual sheet layer. So if you needed to have multiple items in different scales, you could easily do that, and that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to move forward with 1/4 inch. I'm going to say OK, and it's going to automatically take us to where we need to go right now. You'll notice that this looks a little different and that everything else disappeared. So our viewport crop looks just fine here. Now, see where we have drawing title? We can remove that if we want to, and I can show you this in class as well, but some people actually enjoy this. Now, the other thing that we'll note is the page is a little awkward for what we're doing. So this works just like any other printing option within Vectorworks. We go to File, we go to Page Setup, and then because I don't have a large printer attached to my computer at the moment, I'm going to click under Printable Area, choose Size Unavailable in Printer Setup. See where it says Other here? I'm going to go to one of the standards, which is Arch D, US Arch D. Please be careful because there's also ASMED, which is a different size, and there's also some of the ISOs. But in this case, we want US Arch D, which is 36 inches wide and 24 inches tall. I'm going to move this page setup so you can see this happen. Once I click OK, the page size has gotten closer to that of our drawing. Now, you'll notice that it goes slightly over. So if I need to do something, I would actually go in and edit the viewport crop. And see how I can literally double click on that and say crop, and go here and actually just move this line up. I'll move it to here. And I'll say exit crop. And now it all fits other than the drawing title, which would print very nicely on an Arch D page. Now, something else you can do if you need to nudge around, you can actually nudge it like any other object. So you select it, hit Shift, and then use your arrow keys to nudge. I hope this portion has been helpful. I'm going to go back to a regular design layer. This will take just a moment. And then we're going to talk about seats. So if we go in and we click on this object down here, which is called Event Design, it's like two little crossed lights, we're going to get several options. The top one is Seating Section. Now, one important thing to note here, you must see Spotlight in the menu bar for this to work correctly. If you do not see Spotlight, this will not work because you're in the wrong workspace. You'll need to change to Vectorworks Spotlight workspace. So I'm going to assume we're in the right workspace now, and I'm going to click Seating Selection. You have multiple different ways to do this. So you can create from a shape, so you can convert a polyline if you want to just use the polyline tool, or convert to polyline any specific shape. You can use an oval, a rectangle, or use the polyline tool here. I'm going to just use the square, excuse me, just for speed here, but polyline is probably the best option for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a shape, and I'm going to do a single click, and then I'm going to click up here, double click, and you'll see that we have tons of seats. Now we'll have to create some of these different seat spacing options, like seats really are normally spaced about 2 inches apart. Right, rows might be 2 foot 6 inches apart. You'll see that, as we did that, we actually get less seats. You kind of start to see an image. So there's multiple options here, one of which is curved, and you're all going to want to select curved because the rows in that theater are not straight across. Now you'll notice that these are all pointing to a specific point, and if I click OK, it's going to fill this momentarily with seats. Now, oops, sorry, made a mistake here. I need to click back on the cursor tool, and you're going to see some little selectable symbols here, right? So as you move these, and again, this requires quite a bit of processing power. You'll see the seats will actually follow your cursor. See how they were adjusted over here. Now they're more aligned to that. You can also use the nudge tool, although that requires even more processing power. So I wouldn't suggest nudge until you get very, very close. And again, you'll see that I'm getting the spinning wheel of death each time that I move this. And this is very normal, and it can take up to 1 minute for each move. So don't panic if it behaves a little strangely. especially as you're making these moves. And we're going to make one final move, and then I'll zoom out and show you how we've adjusted those seats. And see how they're now much more centrally focused. Now, in actuality, for the theater that we're working in, you're going to want the seats to actually be centered somewhere around here. But you see what I'm saying. It's not necessary for us to go all the way there. We've gotten very close here. But you see how moving those left, right, and then spacing them up and down will change the curvature of that arc. So I hope this has been very helpful. Happy to go over this in class today, or any other time into the future. This may be something you need help with later on. The other thing to know is that we do have Tuesday as your essentially revisions date. So if there's anything that you need to change or an error you've made, that would be a great date for that. And that's when, after that date, penalties will start being assessed for late work. So I hope that we've been able to really clearly show, again, because we did this in class as well, how we're going to use sheet layers versus design layers, right? How sheet layers act as pieces of paper, and how to use the basics of the seating tool. Oh, the other thing I wanted to show you real quick, not that this relates to 2D, but I did want to show you that actually the seating tool does generate a 3D model as well, which is why it's using so much energy. I just thought that would be something interesting to show. So, I hope you've had a nice time watching this video, and I will see you all very soon.